Hello, everyone. Welcome to Co-Creation Station. This is the podcast where we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, spiritual magic, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I'm located in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
My name is Stephanie Orlina. I am a transformational life coach, and I'm in San Diego, California.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode or watching this episode, whichever you are doing. We do want to let you know at the top here that we often, just because even when we think we won't mention these names, we mention these names. So we often mention Abraham Hicks, and Esther Hicks. If you're not familiar with those names, Esther is a speaker and author who channels Abraham. Abraham is described as a group of entities from beyond our physical world who share their wisdom by speaking through Esther at workshops and speaking opportunities around the world. Might be a little weird, but it's pretty cool. You can find out more about them by searching for Abraham Hicks on your web browser, on YouTube, or also at their website, abraham-hicks.com. Each week, if you listen to us on a regular basis, you know that each week we start our discussion here on the podcast from a different jumping off point. And this week, Stephanie, you started, as we often do, you started like, well, I think a topic might be blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wait, let me hit record. You're starting to talk about it. It's gold. It's gold.
I'm like,
what you're saying.
oh, okay,
lose
really?
it.
And then you're like, yeah, I have stuff I want to say about it. So let me hit
Yes.
record before you.
So
I'm like,
I'll
okay.
turn it over to you.
All right. So I was thinking, because I'm kind of working through this now, where I'm at in my life and my journey, and about trusting that whatever I want is already done. And I think for a lot of us, it's natural to just worry or have doubt that what we've asked for, what we want, it's not going to happen. Like, well, how? Or that you can't have that, or whatever our stories are. And so I wanted to talk about, I think we get to a certain point, or I'm at a certain point in the art of allowing, of just believing like it's done. So it's a muscle that I'm just starting to notice is there, and it's not really strong. Like my doubt muscle is much stronger. My worry muscle is much stronger than my belief muscle. And so, for anyone who listens to Abraham Hicks a lot, they talk about how you can be, do, or have anything you want. And that in the moment, even I think they call them rockets of desire, even when they go off, sometimes I don't even know that they've gone off. Other times I do know, but that it's received by spirit, God, universe, whoever you want to give that title to. And energetically, my higher self becomes it. And it's sitting in the vortex, as they call, just waiting for me to become a vibrational match to it. And so I'm working on coming to believe that when I want something, even in my human mind, when I don't think, how is it going to happen? I don't think, I can't do that. I can't have that, whatever it may be, going to know stuff. It's done. Like I have a list in my phone of things that I wanted that have come about in my life, just as a reminder to think back, like, oh, well, I remember when I wanted such and such. I remember when I wanted the job. I was 20 and I wanted the job with the post office so bad. Like I took the test, I applied, I took the test, and I was just like, because at that point I was like, man, if I get this job with my for the post office, I could just sock away my paycheck every month, and then we could buy the duplex that we were living in at the time, because our landlord was going to sell it, and he offered it to us and the tenants next to us. And so I was just like, oh my God, and I didn't know whether I was going to get it or not. I ended up getting it. We ended up buying the duplex. So I have all of these things, like we all do, right? All these things we wanted that eventually came about. Yet now I'm standing in a place of there's a whole bunch of other things that I want. And I'm like, but how? Or I can't, all those, the doubt, the fear, the worry, the disbelief. So I want to talk about this because it's done. Like, why can't I just relax? And I have those moments when I'm in the vortex, when I'm feeling really good, I'm so connected. And it's just like, yeah, it's going to happen. Do. And then yesterday, there's this thing that I've been wanting, to make like $10,000 a month, doing work that I love. And I've been really feeling good, like it's actually possible that I can do that. God's given me these gifts and talents and knowledge and wisdom that I can do that. It's very easily done. And I talked to someone yesterday and she kind of says just the opposite. And I got into my doubt and I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? I was feeling so optimistic about this. And then I was like, oh yeah, the reason why I feel so negative, it's not because this woman said these things to me. It was because I'm thinking these thoughts and my inner being isn't thinking that at all. My inner being knows it's done. And then I was like, oh, you know why I felt so good when I was like, yeah, I can make 10,000 easily a month doing my coaching and whatever else. And I realized this morning, you felt so good, Steph, because your inner being agreed with you. Your inner being is that. I was like, oh, and it's not that I can jump back into that place because I'm in a lower, we talked about this in last week's episode about just not being in that, being in that negative state. And I can't go to feeling that way again of, yeah, of course I'm going to make $10,000 a month easily, or, doing that. But I know I'll get there again. I'm just not in this moment.
This is a really good topic. It's very relevant for me. A couple of things that came up for me with this. I remember there was a time where I'm trying not to go back too far in my history. It's like, what do you need to know about Collin for this story? So I was in politics for quite a while. I got my bachelor's degree in political science, and I interned in the U.S. Senate in Washington, D.C. And while I was there, very quickly I got offered a permanent full-time job they said, you can end this internship right now, a month in, we'll give you a full-time job, benefits, all this sort of stuff. And it was like a real surprise because usually it's like they let you be an intern and pay you very little for as long as they can, and then maybe they hire you, and there's a lot of competition at that point. So to get that offer right off the bat, I was like, oh wow, like this is my dream.
Yeah.
Like a career in politics, here it is. And then it was a great moment because it was like, it just clarified like where my heart was about it, because I loved politics, but it wasn't what I wanted to keep doing at that time. And that job offer was torture in a way, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is what everybody, I hadn't even graduated yet. And it's like, oh, here's my dream job. Like, this is what everybody wants. Like, go to college, your senior year, you get your dream job offer, you go right into it, and you live happily ever after. But it clarified for me that I didn't want to continue in that. I actually wanted to get into the arts, and I wanted to do theater and film and stuff like that. So it's interesting. So I turned down the job. I finished the internship, which was still wonderful. And then I applied for a master's degree in theater. And it was so funny because what I wanted to do was so clear. When I went into that master's degree program, I wanted to do acting, writing, and directing. Like, it was so clear. Like, looking back from where I am today, this was like decades ago now, but it was like so clear. And what I did was I became a stage manager. And the reason that I became a stage manager, in my crazy mind at the time, but I think so many people can relate to this, I was like, because I knew I was going into the master's program in theater where I had gotten my bachelor's degree in political science, and I had known some of the theater students. And what I knew was like, oh my gosh, if I was going to be an actor or a director or a playwright there in that program, there's so much competition. Like, there's the university only does so many plays a year. Like, if you want to direct, you have to get approved. If you want to act, you have to audition, and I was like, oh, but like the job that like is in demand because nobody really wants to do it is stage manager. And I'm a really good organizer. Yeah. I'm smart. I'm good at communicating and managing things with people. So I'm like, I'll do that. And it was this wonderful lesson of life. I'm really grateful that I did that, because what I thought was true. Like, the professors in the theater department were always desperate for stage managers because nobody wanted to do it. It was like this thankless, it's all the work, none of the fun. Like, yeah. And I was like, I will be your stage manager. And so they even made an exception. I was stage managing 2 plays at the same time, which they didn't let people do, but they let me do it because they're like, Collin's so awesome at this, whatever. And so literally every night for 4 months, I got to sit in the theater and watch other people do what I wanted to do. All night. And then I would get their, water for them or whatever,
Soul crushing. Do you remember what that felt like?
it was terrible. It was terrible, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
great in the sense that like it crystallized for me like, Collin, you did this. You chose this. You know? Like
Yeah.
you and I could see why I did it. You know, it's like I made a bunch of beliefs. I followed a bunch of beliefs that I created about it. That like, well, I won't get any opportunities if I audition because maybe I'm not good enough as an actor. I won't be a great enough director, so they won't pick me to direct any of the plays. You know, I'm not sure I'm a great playwright, so they may not pick my scripts to produce. You know, and I was like, so I chose a life that is the life I don't want, just because I was scared that the life I wanted was not
Mm.
might not happen. And after that first semester, I just remember like, never again. Like, even if I don't get into any shows, even if they don't pick me to direct, even if they don't pick my script to produce, like at least I'm doing what I want to be doing. I mean, I'll be in alignment with what I want,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And as it happens, and I'm not saying this would happen for everybody, everybody's journey is different, but like the first play I auditioned for, I got the lead. Uh,
Oh,
the play, I took a playwriting directing course and I adapted a book into a play, and I won Best Director of the Year
oh
for
my
the
gosh.
university. Yeah, so I mean, but it was just like so clear of like, I look back on that moment in my life and I'm like, I was trying to decide
Yeah,
this whole argument that doesn't even need to happen about like, well, can I make it happen? If I audition, can I be good enough? Can I do the right monologue? Can I be a talented enough? Blah 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 blah. Instead of what you're talking about is like, just follow your dang bliss,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
things that you need
Will show up.
will happen to get you there. But if
And
you block yourself out of the game from the beginning, it's definitely
right?
not going to happen.
Well, and it's not even that it's not going to happen. It's just going to slow it down.
It's super going to slow down. Like I
It's
wasted. I
slow.
mean,
It's going to slow it
I
down.
don't feel like I wasted that semester because it was such a valuable lesson. Like it
Right.
kept me pursuing
Yeah.
my creative goals
Because
for
it's
like
done.
years.
It's done. It like when I said at the very beginning, like when we ask, whether we realize we're asking or not, it's done. And I
Yeah,
think that's the other part that I'm learning now in my journey of, being an art of allower, practicing the art of allowing is that stuff, it's done. Like
yeah,
I'm the only holdout. All the cooperative components have been assembled. Like what? Like it's just mind blowing when I think about the universe and how spirit set this whole game of life up. Like it's done. Like, damn, it couldn't be any easier. It's so easy. It's like, it's counterintuitive, like you've said mentioned times. Go to the beach. Abraham's always saying, if you like to get your nails done, go get your nails done. If you like to pet your cat, pet your cat. If you love getting massages, go like do the things you like. Go get happy, feel good. The universe is responding to our energy, and then circumstances and events occur that like are mind-blowing sometimes, like I never think are actually possible, and they happen.
yeah.
Like like me hearing that Zach Brown band was going to come in May, like because I looked at the beginning of the year, their schedule said they weren't coming to San Diego. I'm at Baskin Robbins reading Abraham material, enjoying my ice cream and listening to music, and I mean like my three favorite things, right? And then all of a sudden the DJ comes on and like, yeah, we're going to give Zach Brown tickets. This isn't even a country station, and they're giving Zach Brown tickets away. And I'm like, oh my God. And I go home and I'm like, I tell my then husband, I'm going to win. Zach Brown's coming to town. I'm going to win tickets. And he looks at me, he's like, no, you're not. And it just bounces right off me because I'm in the vortex. I'm like, yes, I am. And I'm listening to the radio and they're like, and I've got both phones going because we still had a landline then. And next thing I
So
know,
the interesting thing there about that
uh-huh.
to me is because I feel like I've been in that scenario so many times, and I've agreed with
On
the
which
person
one? On which end?
when your then husband said no, you're not. I've had times before I knew about the law of attraction where I'm like, I agree with them, and I allow myself to be talked out of the thing.
And that's what happened to me yesterday is with I started agreeing with this woman in my head.
Yeah.
I
And the thing
slowly
is,
started agreeing with her, and it
but
felt
the
awful.
the thing that's not true there, the thing that is a lie, the thing that is false, it is really false, is that like in that scenario, I would agree with like if someone say, oh, I'm really excited to do this thing. And they're like, oh, but you won't be able to. And I agree with them. The lie that I tell myself afterwards is that it's some sort of external circumstance that kept me from
Yeah.
doing the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was going to do it and I was excited, but this person told me the reasons that the world wouldn't be able to give it to me. And they sounded like they knew what they were talking about. So it's not my fault for not getting it. It's the world, because all I did was acknowledge these reasons, hashtag reasons.
And
But the reality is, in that moment, what happens is
yeah. Yeah.
I shut it down. I
Yep.
prevented
Yeah.
myself. I was the one that said I want to be a stage manager, not an actor. Like that was the universe.
And thankfully, I'm catching, like, why do I
Yeah.
feel so bad? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm believing some of the stuff she said, because she had two scenarios. The only way people have coaches, she goes, I know a lot of broke coaches. Two, yes, two, not three, but two. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, you got to watch the video. And that is horseshit, because those things happen because those people believed it and they stuck to it no matter what, right? So this is where I get to choose. Yes, I do. I'm gonna read up about, sales and, business and learn how to handle that part of being a businesswoman. But I could believe in this and go, well, these are the only two ways I could do it. That's the only way it's possible. God's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
That's not the only way. Because I remember specifically, I think it might have been Jack Canfield. It was somebody, Wayne Dyer maybe, where they talked about the story of this woman was looking for a place to live, her and her family. And she knew exactly what she wanted. And she knew that God was going to give it to her. And so she had this limited amount of time because they needed a place to live. And she had all these people saying to her, well, it's not going to happen. It's not possible, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, no, she stuck to her guns. She believed it. She knew it was going to happen despite everyone telling her the opposite and giving her all of these reasons of why it couldn't happen. And then it popped up. She had a home to live in, whatever the circumstances were. And I remember another scenario, I'm not sure if it was Abraham who told the story or if it was another book I was reading about this woman. She wanted to be a rock star. She wasn't musically talented, didn't know how to sing, blah, 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 blah. But she, in her bones, knew that she was a rock star. She embodied it. And so, long story short, she knew someone who knew someone. And next thing you know, she's in a band, and because she believed it. And in that moment, when I told my husband that I was going to win, I believed it. I knew it. And it didn't matter what he said.
Yeah.
Because I was so in the vortex. And then next thing he hears me, oh my God. And I'm talking to the DJ, and I remember his face was in shock and disbelief, because he knew, because of my joy ringing out while I was on the phone, that I had won.
Mm-hmm. I'm tempted to do something I do a lot, which is talk about other people and how they don't do the law of attraction right, or don't use the law of attraction well. But I should keep it about myself, because currently, I'll share this. It's always dicey for me a little bit when we share, how much personal information to share on this podcast. But like at the moment, something that's going on for me is my love life, without getting into any details or mentioning any names, looked about a month ago like it was heading in a good direction. We'll put it that way. And I found myself, we record this on a Sunday. I found myself this weekend really getting into. It seems to have shifted. Like the circumstances don't seem to be working out the way that I wanted them to, or I thought I wanted them to. And I got into the thing where I can definitely get into at times when I'm single, where it's like this negative thinking about it, and like, why me, and why haven't I met her yet, and all this sort of stuff. And then I hung out with people, quite a few of them actually yesterday, who are in relationships and deliriously happy with their partner. At least that's what they were sort of exuding. They were in a good mood and having a good time with their partner. And I realized, like, when I got home from that event, I was, the universe had actually, well, I guess you could say, I attracted other people who are like, dating someone, their love life's going great and they're happy about it. Now, I could have done two things with that. I could have been like, Wow, that's awesome. I'm looking for a vibrational match. I want my love life to be happy and me to feel good
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
So isn't that awesome that I allowed in all these couples that were that I was hanging out with, talking to, super happy, hugging their sweetie, whatever, in front of me. Like that what a great opportunity to align with that energy. But I didn't do that.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And I think a lot of people can relate,
Hmm.
I got into the why do they have it and I don't thing, which again is a complete and total mental construct up here only. Like that is not something that's happening.
And it's the vibration of the opposite of what you want.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
therefore slows it down. Not that it doesn't
Yeah.
exist for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just that that type of thinking and vibration slows down what you really want.
Yeah. And something you've taught me is that I did remember eventually is like, oh, because what happens, it gets even worse sometimes because I will get into that stinking thinking like, oh, why can't I have what I really want? And then one of my, I guess it's like a defense mechanism or whatever, or it's just a habit or a pattern of thought behavior, is that I will sit down and I'll be like, all right, I know what I want. I'm upset that I don't have it. I'm going to sit down and just by myself figure out how it's going to happen, how I'm going to make it happen. I'm not going to use any universal energy. I'm going to use just actions and facts.
That's what we were talking about. That's what I was talking about at the beginning of like believing, oh, it's already
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Like I don't have to do all that freaking heavy lifting. It's what you're saying
Yeah.
before. It's like a lot of times the way something will come to us, the way something we want will come to us is so weird and out of the blue. Like, thank God I didn't have to come up with it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and you don't have to. Like,
No,
our job
and then
is
that's
the
it.
vibration and the belief,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
let the universe. I mean, if you listen to like 95% of couples and how they got together, the stories are whack.
I
They're
know.
whack.
I know.
They're
I
completely
know.
whacked. Like I mean, I have a friend, been out of touch with her for several years, but she literally did that thing of like met her husband at the airport. Like they literally were going to get on a plane together, and they're like their
Oh, I love
flight got
it.
delayed, so they're sitting there and they're just talking, and like they've been married, they have children together, and it's like,
Oh, I just got
are you
chills.
serious? Can you imagine thinking, all right, now I'm going to have to meet my dream partner. I'm going to have to take a flight from Dallas
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
can't, you
And that,
can't.
I know, and that, so that's the beauty of what I want to circle back to is like, that's not my job. My
It's
job is to
not.
believe it. My job to start, because I do want to become a woman who just has that faith, just
Yeah.
has that belief. Like I've asked, it's done. Let me, and going back to what I was talking about, making $10,000 a month in my business, is that I'm seeing pieces moving in my life and things lining up that are going to support that. And that is what's helped me like shift my thinking and starting to see the possibility of it again. And that feels really good, like the indicators type thing. Um but yeah, like
The other thing too is that this might be next week's topic instead of
yeah, I
just
think so.
but I heard this great, and I didn't even listen to the whole interview, but I listened to like the first 30 seconds, like they did a little clip of the whole interview, and I was like, that's genius. And I do need to explain it a little bit because you could take it the wrong way just from how it sounds. But Chip Kelly, I'm a huge college football fan. I don't need to talk about that here. I don't think there's a lot of college football fans who listen to the podcast. But anyway, it's one of the things that sets me on fire. I love it. Um, UCLA, which is University of California, Los Angeles, they have a pretty big football program. Their current coach is named Chip Kelly. And it was an interview, some sports reporter was interviewing Chip Kelly. And he says his philosophy with this year with his players is summed up by the phrase, there's no crying on the yacht. And what he means is that when you're in a a big time national football program, like you were so amazing as a high school football player in America that you got selected and got a full scholarship in most cases to go to one of the biggest universities in the country that has one of the most popular and high performing football programs in the country. But it's very easy once you're on the team to be like, well, why isn't the team winning more? Why am I not getting thrown more passes? Why does the coach not put me in more often? Why does he make us do these laps around the field? And you can go from this. The reality is you're in a place of privilege. Like, yes, you're massively talented. You've done a lot of hard work, but you're in a place of privilege where so many people would love to be where you're at and don't get that opportunity. You're in a place, you're on a yacht, essentially. You're on this amazing plane of life that very few people get to. And yes, there's hard work to do, and yes, there's goals and all that, but you need to enjoy and appreciate it, be grateful for it, and not cry about how you're not getting what you want. You know, like if you're on the yacht, you need to be like, I'm on the yacht. I'm going to be happy. I'm not going to cry on the yacht. And I just feel like how often in my life I am crying on the yacht. Like I am like.
Well, we are right now, right?
Yeah.
We're both on. We're like everyone listening. We're all on yachts. Please. Yeah, we're all on yachts. Yeah, and we're crying on the yacht. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, first of all, crying is okay. Like expressing emotions is okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell people they can't. And there's different levels.
But there's no complaining. Like
complaining doesn't help ever. And it's also maybe this is helpful for people, maybe it's not, but you can always, wherever you're at, there's always somebody that has it tougher. There's always somebody who has less resources. You know, if you don't like your apartment, there's somebody in this world with a worse living situation. So as bad as yours is, focus on what's, you know, you do this with me all the time. What's good about where you live? What do you love about where you live? That thinking about that and getting your vibration in line with that is how you get, first of all, is how you just enjoy the day you're in and just be like, you know what, my place is kind of great. It has flaws, but my place is kind of great. And it's also the easiest, fastest way to get to a new apartment that's better if you want one. You know?
And honestly, because when you get the sweetie of your life, there's still going to be things to complain about.
Oh, 100%.
And it's about changing the channel then too, like we talked about in last week's episode.
Yeah.
And even when I'm, you know, at that income level of $10,000 a month, there's still going to be things that I'm going to complain about or, you know, whatever. And so it's like, you know what, that I wanted to be where I'm at today. I so wanted to be where I'm at today, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, and I'm here. It's, you know, so like, what do they call it? First world problems. Please.
Yeah. No, it is. And I just, sometimes like one phrase will help unlock something for me really well. And like that phrase really unlocked that. Like if I'm like, well, I don't have this and I don't have that, I'm like, dude, you're on a yacht. Like, like go out on the deck and enjoy the view. And just,
is that what we're calling this?
I think so. I feel bad because I think we're
although we started off with this different subject.
We're in danger of stealing Joel Klatt's college football podcast episode title for this week. But yeah, I think we're working.
So glad you all were here with us.
There's not a lot of audience overlap, I don't think. All right. Well, we thank you so much for listening to us or watching this episode today. We're so grateful that you did and that you joined us for this discussion. We hope you got something good out of it that helps you. Please remember, we are, at this time that we're recording this, we are posting a brand new episode for you every single Monday morning. So whatever your platform is, you can set the alerts there and get that little jolt of Co-Creation Station on Monday morning. We truly appreciate you doing whatever your platform allows you to do to support the podcast and help other people find it. All of our links and email address and everything is down the doodly-doo on YouTube. So check that out. And we wish you a happy and abundant week on your yacht, hopefully crying free. And we'll see you next week on the next episode of Co-Creation Station. Bye, everybody.
Bye.